Hey everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of Genesis chapter 19. I already explained the first video why I split into 2 parts. If you haven't seen that first part, watch that first. Well, you should be watching these in order anyways, but don't watch this without watching that one first, because I'm going to reference a lot of the stuff in this material from that first material and things that we already established. I'm going to do the clean reading through, and then we'll go through the commentary here, and we'll analyze it in comparison to the first half. So we'll start at verse 15 of chapter 19. And then we'll go into commentary. All right, let us begin. At dawn the next morning, the angels became urgent. "Hurry," they said to Lot. "Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here and get out while you can, or you will be caught in the destruction of the city." When Lot still hesitated, the angels seized his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and rushed them to safety outside the city, for the Lord was merciful. "Flee for your lives," the angels told him, "and don't look back. Escape to the mountains. Don't stay down here on the plain or you will die." "Oh no, sirs, please," Lot begged. "Since you've been so kind to me and saved my life and you've granted me such mercy, let me flee to that little village over there instead of into the mountains, for I fear disaster in the mountains. See, the village is close by, and it's just a small one. Please, please let me go there instead. Don't you see how small it is? And my life will be saved." "All right," the angel said, "I accept your proposition and won't destroy that little city. But hurry, for I can do nothing until you are there." And from that time on, that village was named Zoar, meaning little city. The sun was rising as Lot reached the village. Then the Lord rained down fire and flaming tar from heaven upon Sodom and Gomorrah and utterly destroyed them, along with the other cities and villages of the plain, eliminating all life, people, plants, and animals alike. But Lot's wife looked back as she was following along behind him and became a pillar of salt. That morning, Abraham was up early and hurried out to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked out across the plain to Sodom and Gomorrah and saw columns of smoke and fumes as from a furnace rising from the cities there. So God heeded Abraham's plea and kept Lot safe, removing him from the maelstrom of death that engulfed the cities. Afterwards, Lot left Zoar, fearful of the people there, and went to live in a cave of the mountains with his 2 daughters. One day, the older girl said to her sister, "There isn't a man anywhere in this entire area that our father would let us marry, and our father will soon be too old for having children. Come, let's fill him with wine, and then we will sleep with him, so that our clan will not come to an end." So they got him drunk that night, and the older girl went in and had sexual intercourse with her father, but he was unaware of her lying down or getting up again. The next morning she said to her younger sister, "I slept with my father last night. Let's fill him with wine again tonight, and you go in and lie with him, so that our family line will continue." So they got him drunk again that night, and the younger girl went in and lay with him, and as before, he didn't know that anyone was there. And so it was that both girls became pregnant from their father. The older girl's baby was named Moab. He became the ancestor of the nation of the Moabites. The name of the younger girl's baby was Ben-Ami. He became the ancestor of the nation of the Ammonites. All right, now that's a rough read. Now you guys can see why I separated these into 2 parts, because they have similar themes, but they separate out at this point. So at the very beginning, we see where it says, "At dawn the next morning, the angels became urgent. They said, 'Hurry, leave,' and they even took them by the hands." And we see that it names all the people who were fleeing Sodom and Gomorrah, and it's only Lot, his wife, and the 2 daughters. And we see that the fiancés of the daughters are not coming. They're not with them. In fact, they're left behind. And we know that this is in reference to when Lot tried to warn them and his friends to leave because everything's been destroyed. They called him crazy. They didn't have any faith. They didn't believe. And so because of this, they were left to be punished as well. They were dragged into all these different things. But we also see that there's some deep hesitation with the family, specifically with Lot. And even though he believes and he has this moment, he doesn't want to run out. I mean, it's the middle of the night. He doesn't know what to do. He has a lot of his heart stuck in this place, stuck in the world. And we see this with the family as it goes on. Lot hesitates so much that the angels quite literally have to grab him. They grab him and they drag him and they pull him out of the city. They're 2 in each hand. One angel's holding the wife and the daughter and Lot and everything. And then they're running out of the city, dragging them out. And we see that in some interesting way, it's very similar to when Lot urged the angels in the beginning of the chapter to come home with him. Remember, the angels were kind of hesitant. They said, "No, we'll stay out here." And then Lot made them come into his home and stay there. He was very urgent about it. We see the same urgency with the angels to Lot's family. So it could be that their urgency and their grabbing him is also like a payment for what he did for them. Even though they were not in any danger, there's still that understanding of righteousness, what is due and what is owed. And we have here an understanding that Lot had faith, but he was hesitating. He didn't have perfect faith. He wasn't like Abraham, who's always rushing and has no hesitation, whatever. He was very much, a lot of his heart still stuck there in Sodom and Gomorrah. But we see the angels still bring him out. And then after they bring him out, they give to him a command. And this command becomes completely different from earlier. So before, when they said, "Leave because you will be destroyed, you must leave. I can't do anything until you leave." This is about the command with Abraham, where Abraham said, "Lord, if there's but 10 good people, don't destroy the place." And even though there's only 4 people here, Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters, and the Lord only bound himself to 10, there's an important understanding that even though there's the law, there's also the spirit of the law. And God understood that even though it wouldn't be violating the promise he made with Abraham, it would be violating the spirit of why Abraham made the promise. So even if it's just 4 or just 1, there is still some righteousness there that the Lord will not destroy the place. But this command of flee for your lives and don't look back, escape to the mountains, don't stay down here on the plain or you will die. This is fact. When the Lord speaks or the angels speak from the Lord, this is fact. This is just truth. Otherwise, the Lord is lying. And the Lord does not lie. The Lord is always a truthful Lord. And so we see this when he says, "Flee for your lives and don't look back." This is a command. And this is a command. If you don't follow, then you're no longer considered righteous. You will also be destroyed. And this is an understanding. This is still holding the commands in the agreement he made with Abraham, where I will not destroy a town of those righteous men. But if I command those people to leave and they don't listen to me and they don't believe, they're not righteous and they will be destroyed. This is very important to understand for people. When you are given a command, when you are given this understanding, these are tests of faith. If you don't listen and you're still fighting back, you're still hesitating, you're saying, no, I'm making concessions here, even after an explicit command is given, then this shows you have no faith. This shows that there's nothing else that will save you. You are left to your destruction. That's the end. And so we see that they leave and they have this faith, even though it's small, it's still enough to save his life. But Lot begs, he says, "Please let me go to this little village, to Zoar. I don't want to go to the mountains. I'm too scared. I can't do that yet. I'm fearful for my life. I'll die in the mountains from wild animals, whatever." Lot isn't denying that destruction is going to come. I don't think he just didn't understand the extent of what destruction was going to look like. He didn't understand the extent of why he shouldn't be there. But he said, "Please, I beg you, let me, instead of going to the mountains, let me go to this small village first." And so they said, "Okay, I accept your proposition." But keep in mind, they already said, if you stay down here in the plain, if you stay amongst these cities, you will die. And we see later that Lot leaves Zoar because he becomes fearful of the people. So something happens, and Lot realizes that he has to go to the mountains. So this original command of going to the mountains and staying there, Lot does fulfill. This is fulfilled, but Lot just says, "Give me time. Let me build this village. Let me, live. Let me survive." And and he has this moment, and the angel says, "Okay, you're not contradicting the word. You're not contradicting what I'm telling you to do, but you will eventually fulfill this thing, which is you will go to the mountains and hide there and live there and be away from this place." So again, this echoes the first chapter where you must separate yourself from these wicked people. You have to separate themselves from the people who don't believe and who don't have faith. Or else you'll be caught up with them, you'll be destroyed with them, and you'll find that you don't have faith just like them, that it destroys what's left of your faith. So they're given the command not to hesitate, not to look back, and Lot prays to go into Zoar. And again, this echoes the promise. They even say, I accept your proposition and won't destroy that little city. So again, the promise. And then he says, "But hurry, for I can do nothing until you are there." So pretty much, I can't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah until you go there because of this promise of Abraham. So we see this reinforcement that that's exactly what's happening here. That's exactly why they're being let out. This is the understanding of righteousness, the faith that Lot has, which is the righteousness. Now, immediately after this, when they're running and leaving, it describes that Lot's wife is turned into a pillar of salt. that there's the destruction raining down, the fire, the flaming tar. Some people believe that's sulfur. I don't believe that's quite true. The Hebrew kind of makes it sound like it's a resin from wood, from gopher wood, which is very resinous, that it's a burning resin. So I think flaming tar is a better translation. I think sulfur and brimstone, I think that's comes from other symbolisms. But she's turned into a pillar of salt. She lags behind. She doesn't obey this command. Keep in mind that Lot's wife was most likely a sodomite. She's most likely from this area, and she most likely did not have faith in the same way that Lot did. Or she didn't have any faith at all. And when she stayed there, and she returned to a pillar of salt, this is because she was being punished with everybody when she was told specifically, flee and don't look back. This is an extension of Lot himself, because remember, Lot and his wife are one person. The way the wife behaved and wife is also echoes the way that Lot is. And you can see that she looked back, or the Hebrew, which is that she looked more intently. Maybe she even stayed back. It says that she's following behind, but that she's specifically not as far along as Lot. She's still very much behind him. And that she gets turned into a pillar of salt. So this shows that her heart was still in Sodom and Gomorrah. She did not want to leave. She trusted more in that. Maybe she didn't even believe there was going to be punishment. Maybe it was more like she was like saying, oh, is it really something going to happen? Well, we'll see, and then I'll stay there. But she was turned into a pillar of salt. And I think this is where a lot of Bible commentaries fail. They say, oh yeah, she turned to a pillar of salt because she was unfaithful, because she didn't listen, because she broke this command, because she was hesitating. I think this is a problem. When people ask you, why did Lot's wife turn to a pillar of salt? Don't just say, oh, it's because it was punishment. Because there's something deeper here in understanding the symbolism of salt. Like, why did you turn to salt and not like gold, or not pepper, or not something else? Why was it salt specifically? And we know this because in the law of Deuteronomy and the law of Leviticus, we're given commands in the temple when we give a sacrifice, when we give our heart, when we give the reshit, which is the best sacrifice, when we're offering up the best of what we desire to God and giving it up for Him and burning it. We're also told to salt these things. When we have the meat sacrifice, we're told to salt it. When we have the bread sacrifice, we're told to salt it. We're told to give up a certain amount of salt. And this is a very important concept. Back then, salt was most likely used as the earliest form of currency because it lasts forever. It preserves food. You need to eat salt to live. I mean, it's hard to get salt. It is the best commodity you could have. Probably more valuable than gold. Even we get the word salary from salt, right? Someone's pay. And so this salt represents our money. Now, the very important thing in the law says that that God warns the Hebrews that there's going to come a time pretty much where they're going to give sacrifices but hold back on their salt. They're going to keep their salt because they're going to say, well, it's going to get burned up anyways. I may as well keep my salt instead of throwing it on this meat and season it when it's not going to even be eaten, when it's going to be burned up and there's nothing left. But God says you must give the salt that I demand. You must season it. You must do this thing. It costs you some money and it costs you some value, but you must do this because it's a test of faith, your love for me, and your desire for the reshit. It's a test of your hesitations and your faith. And so we see the reason why Lot's wife is turned into salt is because this is a symbolism of her not giving it up for God, that she was there, she hesitated, she had no faith, and she tried to keep what she could keep rather than giving it all up, giving up the world to be saved. So we see this echo today. We are to give up the world for our salvation and the coming time of punishment. So then we have that moment and turned into salt because of her punishment, but then we have Lot is in Zoar, and Zoar is not destroyed. And so some of the people of Sodom and Gomorrah are not destroyed that live in Zoar. Before, they should have all been destroyed, but instead some survived because of Lot's failings. And we see later that these people would end up being a pain to the Israelites. They would take over. There's just so much sin that comes from this. They should have all been destroyed. But of course, Lot was among them, so they couldn't be. But then it says Lot becomes fearful and he goes to live in the caves, the mountains. So this law is later fulfilled when the angels say, go live in the caves or else you will die. It becomes very clear that the people of Zoar were going to kill Lot. And so he goes to hide in the caves and lives there. And he lives the rest of his life there in the caves, most likely. But we see something important here, we see the affirmation of Abraham's promise from God. So God heeded Abraham's plea and kept Lot safe, and then also that Lot went to the mountains. But then we see what it meant for Lot to spend his whole life conceding. So now Lot himself is totally removed from these people. He's removed from Zoar. He fulfills his faith. He's far away from them. No longer is his tent among the plains. He's far away, right? He's in the mountains and the caves far away. But even though he's left and his heart's no longer in Sodom and Gomorrah, his daughters have not. In fact, the daughters appear to have been ruined by the place that they lived in. And this should be a warning to all parents. When you concede, when you give in, you're setting an example up for your kids. And it makes it impossible for them to know right from wrong because they're totally ruined by that place. So we see that they thought the sexual sin, the incest, they treat it as normal. We know that it's not. I don't want you guys to read this and think, oh, the Bible is pro-incest. It's not. The law is very much against this thing. It's very much against fathers and daughters sleeping with each other. It even specifies this later to clarify that. So they do this terrible, terrible thing, this terrible sexual sin, which shows that they've totally taken on the culture of the Sodomites. And they also do it out of greed because they say, look, our dad won't let us marry the people from Zoar. Our dad won't let us mix with these people, mix with the world. But we're promised, like everyone else gets to marry, everyone else gets to do it, so we should be able to do it. So they have like this greed of like, well, everyone else is doing it, then let's do it. Let us do it. So they get their father drunk and they rape their own father, just like how the man wanted to rape the angels. They rape their own father and they get pregnant. They have babies through incest. And the children that they have end up being the Moabites and the Ammonites. And these are the two terrible nations that become enemies to Israel for a very long time. They wage so much war, there's so much death, so much greed, just because they wanted to guarantee their own lineage and they wanted their own greed and their own desires. And you see how they thought, oh, this is a good thing. Everyone used to do this, everyone does this, it's a good thing, we gotta do it. And when you use that kind of logic, you just end up creating nothing but destruction for your own family, for your own people, for your own children, for yourself, more importantly. And so we should treat this as evidence to not concede, that we are to totally separate ourselves from the world. That's what this means. This is what Jesus later explains when we go into the world with to be as innocent as sheep, but to be as wise as serpents, that we have to know and to operate and to be strong, but we can't set up our tents. We can't set up our homes at the gates. We can't be there in the plains. We have to be totally separated from them. Our lives have to be totally separated from them. We can't even marry into them. We can't mix our lineages with them. We have to be totally separate. And that's the only way that we can guarantee that we are going to live a more righteous life, that we are going to be able to be better, live better lives, that our children are not going to be converted and destroyed into these terrible things that the world tries to get them to do. The world wants them to be destroyed in that way. Because when people sin, they want to be affirmed in their sin by getting others to sin with them. They want other people to not only not judge them, but to also do it too. It's not enough for them that you don't do it. They want you to do it too. And they want you to do it so enthusiastically and willingly that you walk right into your own destruction with them. And it's very important to understand that. So sorry I kind of rushed through this. This was just the second part of chapter 19. But that should be everything and how it combines with the first one. Now, of course, go back and watch the first part of this chapter that I read it the day before this one, and you'll see how it all connects into all one, of not conceding the world, Lot's being fulfilled by being separated out, living in the mountains for the rest of his life, but then how his children are essentially cursed. His children are led astray by his own wrong teachings. All right. Thank you guys for watching. This was a tough chapter. I just split up into two, and I can already see the comment. I can already imagine what the comments are going to be like. I can already imagine how the reactions I'm going to get. But guys, I doubled down on this. When the world is mad by what I'm saying, when I'm quoting the Bible, it almost makes me want to say it harder and louder and to really explain it, because that's when I know that what I'm saying is closer to the truth. When the world wants to deny it and gets mad and offends them, that's when you know you're walking closer to God, because there's something there that the world is feeling guilty about, the world is feeling attacked about. And I'm not saying to go out there and be purposefully divisive and make people mad for no reason. Always stick with the message in the Bible and use the Bible for your foundation, for your arguments. Don't just try to shame people for no reason. You have to show them what's wrong and why, and how to get better, and the meaning behind it, and why you want them to. And you have to do it from a place of love. And guys, I do this from a place of love. I know for a fact people are going to accuse me of being hateful, and this is coming from a place of hate. But trust me, guys, this is totally from a place of love. I totally 100% just want you guys to be saved. I don't want you to be destroyed in the fires of Sodom and Gomorrah. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm so happy that you're here with me for this journey as we go on to the next few chapters. And I appreciate every single one of you and all of your comments, even the ones that are mad. And so thank you, guys. I love you, and have a good day.